We're here at the Glendale Country Club in Bellevue, Washington with Steve Keeley, who is the golf course superintendent at the country club.
Glendale was founded in 1925, and the original club was in South Seattle. It was only 9 holes. And so they, after the war, they started looking around for another site because they wanted 18. There was no available land near that spot. So this was an old farm, and they purchased it in the mid-50s, built the golf course, and it opened for play in 1959. We're a private club, but not unlike public courses either. Golf demands a fair amount of aesthetics. It's so, our acceptance of weeds and disease is fairly low.
Steve, tell us about some of the pest problems that you face.
Well, in the Northwest, we've actually got it pretty easy compared to some other areas in the country. But the main pests that we deal with are several patch diseases. In the summer, we'll deal with summer patch, a little bit of brown patch. Later in the summer, that becomes more prevalent, summer patch. We've got microdochium patch, which can be, even in July, we just looked at that down on the 11th tee. We can deal with that year-round. A little bit of pink snowball in the winter. We deal with some cool season pythium when it's just, we've got periods of long drawn out cold where it just stays wet and cloudy. We also deal with some insects, not a whole lot. Crane fly aren't much of a problem. In the 30 plus years I've been here, we've only sprayed a handful of applications for crane fly. The problem that we're really having insect-wise is with bill bugs. And we've been dealing with those for about the last 8 years or so, and they're a real problem.
What do you do for control of bill bugs?
We spray a product called the Loft in the beginning of June, and water it in, and it does the trick. So.
I've heard you speak before about this, and something that I thought was both serious and kind of funny is one of your most important pests are crows.
Yes, crows are a real problem. They're kind of part of our IPM program. When we see crows out tearing up, defoliating areas, we know that we've got probably some crane fly issues. So we kind of watch and wait for them to do their thing. But they're very aggressive. They'll tear up areas, 3-4 times this size down to dirt because they're hungry and looking for insects. And we're looking at microdochium patch. And normally in July we would never ever see this, but it's been cool and misty, and the conditions have just been perfect. So we've been having to spray quite a bit to deal with it. Aesthetically, it looks horrible. And if we let it go, if we didn't treat for it, it would all die. We use fungicides, obviously. We're on a preventative spray program, and we probably have about 15 to 20 different fungicides at our disposal that we kind of alternate and run through the program, depending on what time of year and exactly what we're going for. But yeah, fungicides still.
How many times in a bad year might you treat for this?
It depends on the weather. Like I said, spring and fall are always the worst times because it's warm enough, cloud cover, moist, misty. We might wind up spraying in the course of a year on tees like this, maybe 10 times in a year.
And what species of grass is this, and what
this is annual bluegrass, and it's mowed at under half an inch.
How often do you mow?
We mow the tees right here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So we're driving through here, and we stopped, and there's what seems to be weeds here. What's up with having weeds in this place?
Well, when we're deep out in the rough, there's not much golf out here, so we can tolerate a little bit of imperfections. The main reason that it looks like this is in the rough areas, we don't fertilize to the extent that we treat, the fairways and other areas where we play a lot of golf. So out here, this might get fed maybe once a year, and we don't really spray any herbicides or anything out here anyway. So, we get a little bit of weeds.
So the control is basically mowing.
Exactly. That's it.
Earlier we were on a tee, we're on a green. Are the pests the same?
We're the same pest, but the disease pressure is much higher because the lower that we go in the height of cut, so the lower that the grass is cut, the higher the disease pressure. When we look at the rough and it's mowed at 1.5 inches, it's bulletproof, like I said before. We don't really have any issues at all. But as we continually go down lower and lower and lower, we finally get to the green, and this is like a small baby. It has to be, pampered all the time.
Is this the same grass as we saw earlier?
Yes, this is the same grass. It's annual bluegrass.
Steve, a river runs through it. So you've got a creek that runs through your golf course. Are there any fish in here?
It's loaded with cutthroat trout. We used to have Chinook salmon in it for years, but we haven't seen any in the past 7 or 8.
I see the lawn, the golf course comes right down close to the edge. I also see you've got some kind of invasive weeds. It looks like Himalayan blackberry, and I see Japanese knotweed. Couple questions. Are you worried about pesticide runoff? And what do you do to control these noxious weeds?
There's not a whole lot that we do to control the knotweed. It's become a real issue in the city of Bellevue in the last 5 years or so, and there's, we don't bother spraying it because we're never going to get it. Between the root system of the knotweed and the seed, we try to not let it go to seed. We'll go in there and just hack it all out and throw it in the garbage.
So you just try and keep it at bay by mechanical control.
Exactly, that's about it. Yeah. As far as pesticides getting in the water, no, we're not really concerned because as we look at this area right here, we're not applying anything. We don't apply because we're basically looking at rough areas that don't really require anything.
So you don't apply pesticides near there, and I see you've got a buffer here anyway. You told us you test the water?
Yeah, we've been doing it for about the past 20 years or so. We test the Kelsey Creek as it comes onto the property, and then at the other end of at the discharge, the exit point of the property, and then look for any pesticides that are found. If we do find something, we will, and typically they do find it because there's homeowners and commercial sites upstream. But most of the time,
so you find it coming into the water.
Yeah, for sure. And if we didn't test the exit point, you would think that it was from us. But in all the years that we've been doing it, we never find anything.
You don't find anything
Not
that's
from our
other products that
practices.
you use?
No, not at all. And the other thing too is, we're smart about when we apply fertilizer and stuff. We don't ever get close to the stream. We only use granular products, on fairways once or twice a year, and we don't do it near a rainstorm or we watch the weather. Obviously, we follow the label instructions on all the products that we apply, and we're careful about hitting the target. You wouldn't see us going out right along the stream here with a rotary spreader and shooting it over into the water. I think that's most of the problems with homeowner use.